Hello and welcome to Let Me Be Your Game Guide, a podcast that spends each episode delving into a mystical new video game, exploring its charms and challenges, and helping you decide if it should be next on your list. I'm your host, Emma.
This is Rylan.
And this is Shawn.
Join us for this week's rating episode as we escape reality and enter the metaphysical. For the remainder of this episode, let me be your game guide.
Nice.
Do we banter at this part a little bit?
Yeah,
What
normally
do we do?
it's like, oh, hey, we're here. Like, kind of like that, you know?
That's what it's usually Shawn. I feel like I haven't introed the podcast in years.
I feel like as soon as you did it, I was like, she's got it.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, but
no problem.
reading it, I was like, it's been months since we've recorded, even though that's not true.
I feel like
Yeah.
it's wild that the intro's not pre-recorded
Yeah.
because I feel like when you start doing it, I'm like, this is exactly as it sounded every time.
Yeah.
I think that maybe it would be helpful if we pre-recorded it, but it's what gets me into the
Podcasting headspace.
yes,
Yeah.
Sure.
yeah,
Okay.
by reading the intro. So
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure.
but it's another morning. We're doing another morning recording.
Another morning recording.
Yeah. I think it's nice.
I like it.
I
On a
do
Monday.
too. Oh yeah.
Yeah, on a Monday. Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
But
yeah, way better than coming off work and trying to do this.
oh god, I know. I wish we could do this more often. It's
Yeah.
just so peaceful.
Mm-hmm.
I think that we as humans deserve 3-day weekends.
Yes.
Yeah, I would agree.
Well, they were talking about letting us do that for a little bit during the summer,
Mhm.
Yeah.
which I was all for, but I don't think we're going to get to do it.
I think it would just suck because it's only for 6 weeks or something. So
I
it's
don't know.
Yeah, it's a
I
tiny
don't
amount of
know.
time.
I did it for 6 weeks during COVID, and I would do it again. It was
Yeah?
great. It was amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
4-day work weeks are where it's at.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wouldn't even care. It'd be amazing. But we're talking about a video game today, you guys.
Yeah.
Video game.
And this was Rylan's pick.
Yeah.
This is this bed we made is what it's called.
Bed we made.
Yeah, dang. Shoot. And we made some beds too.
Yeah.
I mean,
At least
or
I did.
not.
Or not, yeah.
I made beds. Emma, did you make any beds in the game?
I made all the beds.
Yeah.
Yeah. But real quick before we get into the podcast, don't forget to give the podcast a follow, rate it, review it, however you want to show us love. We have a Patreon, patreon.com/letmebeyourgg, where you can view episodes early as they post sometime on Sunday, a couple days before the episode posts everywhere else. You can also find us on socials as Let Me Be Your GG, and we're on Instagram, YouTube, Twitch, and Twitter. And that's Let Me Be Your GG with no spaces, LetMeBeyourGG. And you can find us on TikTok as Let Me Be Your Game Guide with no spaces. You can also email us at letmebeyourgg@gmail.com. This is the best way to send game requests in. Just make sure to include game request in the subject line so it's easy for us to find. And that's all. That's all I have for today.
All right.
Nice.
We'll see you guys next week.
Bye. No, I've been streaming Blueprints on Twitch
Yeah,
every Sunday.
a bunch.
Well, and Saturday a little bit. I stole Rylan's stream day.
No, yeah, do your thing. I really want to watch you play Blueprints, but I don't want spoilers, so
Yeah.
I have a conflict in my heart.
I know.
Yeah.
Brandon was watching on this last Saturday because I was on a day we're around the same day, so we've uncovered about the same amount of stuff.
Oh, that's fun. Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, I think there's some things that I've uncovered that he hasn't. And I opened something and he was like, I'm going to mute you for the time being. So, yeah. But it's super fun. Very, very fun.
Cool.
Yeah. And we do live trailer reactions every other Thursday on Twitch. And that all gets uploaded to our YouTube. Rylan's doing some really cool TikToks.
Yeah.
Actually, I don't know. He's the last one that you did
Well, that was just
hilarious.
That was just for fun.
Yeah,
When are you posting that?
I posted it.
Oh, you did?
Yeah.
Oh, it's live.
I
I don't know. I
it.
don't have TikTok, so I don't know when these things happen. I guess
Yeah.
they're on YouTube,
Yeah.
aren't they? Yeah.
It
Yeah.
should be.
Yeah, I'm just having fun with that medium.
Yeah.
I always start it up and I don't know what's going to happen. till it's done. So it's a good time.
That's
Yeah.
fun.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then Sean's taken over the X.
The
account.
X, the tweets, the X's. I don't know what a tweet is now, but that's
Yeah.
what it is. So yeah.
I think we determined it was an expletive.
Oh yeah.
All right. Yeah.
Sean's just the king of expletives.
Yeah. Just slinging them out there all the time. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Cool. Well, what would you like to say something, Rylan? Sorry.
Yeah.
I feel like I just
Thank
cut
you
off.
for calling on me. No, I was just gonna introduce the game.
Oh,
More.
perfect. That's
More.
what I was gonna ask you to do. So
Yeah.
go for it.
Sweet.
So we're gonna talk about this bed we made today.
Mhm.
We're gonna get into our ratings of it.
Yeah.
This is a story, narrative based, like I guess, game. It's a game. Talking about a game. You thought you might be coming for books here, but no. We're talking about a game. This is just.
We were
You
so-
got
Why
this,
did you
dude.
call on me?
I'm sorry, I accidentally cut you off.
No, you're good. So, in this game, you play as a maid in a 1950s hotel. This takes place in the 1950s in Montreal, and you are a bad maid who snoops through people's things. I don't
Well,
know,
I mean-
or a good maid.
You're a good maid. You just snoop a lot.
Okay, sure.
So-
Yeah.
So you're naughty.
Yeah.
You're in the naughty boy crew. None of you guys get that reference.
No,
Cool.
No.
sorry.
Okay. Well, Milo's Crazy Life.
Oh,
but-
shoot.
You're in the naughty boy crew and you snoop through people's things as a maid. So you're cleaning rooms and you're snooping, and you start finding some interesting sus
Whoa.
activity, and hence
Uh-oh.
the story and the mystery begins.
Yeah.
Yes.
So yeah, it gets good.
I'm really excited to talk about during our next week's episode
Uh-huh.
when we can spoil things.
Yeah.
We won't be able to dive too far into some details this episode, but next episode I've got some things to say.
Yeah, we'll talk about how crazy it gets.
Yeah.
in this
Yeah.
hotel.
Yeah,
If you were a maid, would you also do a little Snoopy?
probably.
Oh, I mean, come on.
Absolutely not.
Really?
Yeah.
With
You
the
don't
things
think
they
you'd get
just had like
bored?
blatantly laid out, like you wouldn't just like take a quick glance, like oh,
So-
nice.
I
So-
wouldn't be breaking into suitcases.
I
wanna-
wouldn't be
Stuff
breaking
like
into
that.
suitcases and stuff.
I
yeah.
wouldn't be touching nothing. Well, I guess I'd be cleaning stuff, but
Oh yeah.
I'm here to clean. Okay, I didn't touch
Yeah,
anything.
yeah.
I don't know. Like, if things are just out, I'm gonna notice things.
Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure.
I just
Like I'd be reading letters that were left out on the bedside table.
Oh yeah, it's just a little glancy poo. You
Yeah.
know.
I don't know. She does seem to have a lot of free time in this hotel. So maybe
She like
Yeah.
never gets checked up on. Okay, next week, but yeah.
I mean-
Anyways.
I mean, it seems like she just has a lot of free time to be snooping. So maybe if I was really bored at work, I don't know. I was so tense playing this game. Every time I was snooping on things, I'm like, when is somebody going to walk through the store?
Oh, I know. I like kept closing the door and like trying to be sneaky and stuff.
I would always close the door as well.
I didn't want anyone to see me while I'm snooping.
Oh, man. Yeah. Well, before we get too far into talking about the game itself, I want to talk about the developers. This game was developed and published by Low Birth Games. They are based out of Montreal, Canada. This bed we made is available on PC, Mac, PlayStation 4 and 5, and Xbox Series S and X. Its initial release was November 1st, 2023, and when it's not on sale, it is $24.99. They have a pretty long list of people that are involved on their team, but I'm just going to talk about the three founders. There's Chloe Lucier, Olivier Lucier, and Raphael Lucier. I love the name Olivier. I think it's
It's a very cool name.
It's very
Are they all
cool.
family? Because they all have the
Yes.
same. Oh, okay.
So
That's cool.
Chloe and Raphael are sisters, and then Olivier is their cousin.
Oh, cool.
I hope I got that right. I had to do some like digging to figure out how Olivier was.
Ancestry.com.
Yeah.
Well, they talked about Raphael and Chloe being sisters, but then I was like, okay, is Olivier a husband? Is
Yeah.
But then I guess they wouldn't have the same last name, so it was. Anyways, 99% sure they are cousins, but they're all related. I do know that.
That's neat.
Yeah, that's very cool.
Yeah,
You
yeah,
don't see that
so-
very often. So
Yeah, little family a family affair, as I always say.
Oh, don't.
But yeah, that's about it. Not a ton about them. I think this is their only game that they've released. But yeah, they're just a little indie company. Yep.
Cool.
So sweet. And we've kind of there isn't an accessibility report, so you're stuck with my half-assed accessibility attempt. You'll find it on our Patreon. It'll be linked in the show notes.
And did on this note, did you guys play on with a controller, or did you use mouse and keyboard?
I used mouse and keyboard mostly, but I did play a tiny bit on controller.
Okay.
So I was playing on controller until I got to one very specific part, and I needed to play mouse and keyboard.
Gotcha. Okay, I only did mouse and keyboard, but I was curious about that. Actually.
Yeah, we'll talk about it. There's one part that I was like, I can't do this with controller.
Okay.
Oh,
I mean, you can, but it doesn't go the way you want it to.
Interesting.
Sure. Okay.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Curious.
Yeah. I honestly, after playing mouse and keyboard for a second, I was like, oh shoot, I should have been doing it like this the whole time.
The only thing I didn't like about mouse and keyboard was I feel like my mouse movements, like for the camera, was so like jittery.
Yeah.
And I was like, I need footage from this game. I mean, this is gonna look real weird. Tried to be as smooth as I could at times.
Yeah.
We've given our game description already. Let's get into the game rating. Rylan?
And now what you've all been rating for.
Yes.
We take into account general considerations such as length, challenge rating, and replayability. We also consider story and narrative topics, including plot, characters, and world building, presentation topics, including graphics, sound design and music, gameplay topics, including content variety and mechanics, and lastly, we consider the overall value of the game. So starting with general considerations, let's talk about length. How long did it take you guys to play this game?
I checked my notes and I am at about 4.25 or 4.5 hours. So between 4 and 4.5 is where I landed.
About 5 hours for me.
I'm 6.5.
Dang.
But
all right.
I literally read everything.
Oh yeah, so did I.
I did a little bit of skimming from time to time. And when she said like,
fair.
oh, this is what's going on, I'm like, perfect, exit. Like, so
I
yeah.
also tried really hard to get a different ending. So I did go back and replay a little bit.
I considered that as well.
Yeah.
We'll talk about that more next
Yeah.
week.
Yeah.
I'm curious.
Yeah. That's all I'll say.
But strong.
Okay.
Moving on to challenge rating. Our skill starts at beginner, escalates to easy, then moderate, difficult, and it tops out at expert. Where did you guys place this game?
I would probably say easy. I didn't think it was too challenging. There were a couple of the puzzles though that it did take a little bit of time to go through them all. So, I mean, you could rate it a little bit higher, and I could see that. For me, it was a pretty easy kind of go through. So, yeah.
Yeah, I think there was one part in particular that I did not find by myself. My partner looked it up and gave me a real softball hint that put me in the right direction. But
Nice.
other than that, things were pretty easy. And you don't have to like do everything in this game. So
Yeah.
you just pretty much follow along with what you're supposed to do.
Yeah, I definitely got half a puzzle and just force brute my way through the rest of
Nice.
it. So yeah, yeah,
You force brewed it?
yeah, I did.
In a fit of rage.
In a fit of rage, yes. Yeah.
Oh, man.
It was late. I had to get that thing done. I couldn't
Yeah.
walk around anymore. So
Yeah, I was stuck between easy and moderate because there were some times that I was like, just like what I'm supposed to be doing can be a little difficult to understand. But I kind of forgot that there's a, like, if you hit down on the D-pad, I don't know what the mouse and keyboard version of this was, she would like say out loud.
Yeah, like what her objective is, or like a little
Yeah,
hint.
yeah, and kind of give you a hint as to where to go.
that was really helpful.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
I'll agree with easy.
Yeah, it did feel like puzzle design is so hard because I feel like it's either too easy or like impossible.
Yeah.
Hitting that balance is very challenging, but I think
Yeah.
that those little hints they give you did help out. But it was a little bit all over the place.
Yeah.
Moving on to target audience. This is where I give the ESRB rating, and this is our first M for mature,
Ooh.
which
Dang,
caught
really?
me off guard. Yes, this is M for mature for blood language, strong language, suggestive themes, and violence. Which honestly, I look back and I was like, yeah, I guess.
I think
Yeah.
yeah.
It's towing the line. I was surprised to see M. But
Maybe they just wanted to be edgy.
maybe.
M for Montreal.
Yeah, that's right.
Ooh, Yep, that's what it is.
Nice.
But who do you guys think would be interested in this game? I think that if you're into the Nancy Drew games,
Oh.
if that's a game that you enjoy, I haven't actually played any of them, but I know of them.
Yeah.
And I know that this game was popping up in a lot of the Nancy Drew subreddit.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah. So I think people that liked Nancy Drew were like, this scratched that itch for me.
Yeah, I think
That's cool.
I was also going to say like Life is Strange. This is pretty
Oh,
similar to
yeah.
that as well.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
More like in the 3D space.
Mhm.
I've been exposed enough to both Nancy Drew and Life is Strange. It's pretty similar, yeah, where you're solving a mystery,
Yeah.
walking around, and like the character has like a little dialogue about things you're looking at, which is nice.
Yeah.
It's right up the alley with that if you like mysteries. Also, I think just like as a period piece, this game's kind of
Oh,
fun
yeah.
if you
Yeah.
like that 50s aesthetic.
Mm-hmm.
For sure. Yeah, I brought it back to LA Noir. I thought it had
Oh,
very
yeah.
LA Noir vibes. And so I was like, man, this really feels kind of like that, but you're a maid instead of a detective. So
Mhm.
Yeah.
yeah, so that's kind of how I felt. If you're really into those mystery puzzle solvers, yeah, it's up your alley. So
Yeah.
Cool. Well, in our last, the last question I'm going to ask you in general considerations is this replayable?
I think not to a wildly big degree because it's like the story is kind of the story. Like you're just moving through it. But like you kind of alluded to, there are different endings that you can get based on your choices that you make.
yeah,
Or what kind of snooping you do or don't do.
Yeah.
So I think there's some reason to replay it. Like I kind of want to go back and make some different decisions and see how something plays out specifically, but we'll talk in some actual detail about this next week. But I think there's some replayability there, but I think once you're kind of done exploring that, maybe just watch a friend go through it. I don't know.
Yeah.
yeah. I think ditto what you said. I think I mean, there's at least for my playthrough, I know there's a couple places where I was like, "Ooh, I could have done something differently," or "Oh, I'm curious on
Yeah.
what that other choice would have caused." But I think outside of that, yeah, maybe in one playthrough, and then you give it a few years, and then maybe you play it again. So
Yeah. As someone who did go back and replay this game, absolutely not. I'm so sorry.
Got you,
I
got you.
think that they tried their best to make this replayable by giving options. I can see replaying it with a different acolyte.
Yeah.
I didn't
Yeah.
do that. But to be honest, once I was done, it was like I have turned over almost every single leaf in this game, and it was slow moving
Yeah.
after that. So
yeah,
I personally say no, but I think that they did try to make it replayable. And I did read that a lot of people were excited to go back and replay it to get different endings. So
Yeah.
that might have just been a personal thing.
sure.
Maybe I dug too deep into reading every single freaking
Like,
article that I stumbled upon.
So you were excited to go back, but then you didn't feel it was worth it.
No, I wasn't excited to go back. I just went back because I had saved at a certain point that I could kind of skip a lot of stuff, and I was like, you know what? The ending, the way that it ended, I accidentally went downstairs before I was ready to. So there were like things that I wanted to do that I
Yeah.
didn't, and I was
Yeah.
like, shoot, okay, no, I want to just see what would have happened. So I did go back and redo a few things, but we'll talk about it next week, exactly what happened.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Right at that like kind of climax of the game. We kind of went beyond that too fast.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think that I was ready to go down until I got like one more clue that I was like, oh shoot, I forgot. I just forgot to go back and do something
Yeah.
that I was like, I'll come back for this, and then I didn't.
I'm so curious because I have almost the exact same situation that I didn't finish exploring.
Yeah.
That I wanted to go back for, but interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, we'll talk about it next week. We'll dive into the details. But now we're going to move into story and narrative, and this begins our numbered rating sections, and we rate things from 1 to 5, 1 being the worst, 5 being the best, and we're going to start with plot. What did you guys give the plot?
I'd give the plot a pretty high number. I thought it was pretty good. Like the story overall, I thought was interesting. and many twists and turns along the mystery that you find as you snoop away in people's luggage and things. So I would say I give it like a 3.54, somewhere in there. I thought it was pretty good.
Okay.
Yeah.
I feel like a 3, maybe. Maybe
Yeah.
it's because we live in 2025 and not in 1858. But
Oh,
some of
yeah.
what I was finding, I was like, this isn't that juicy.
Sure.
To me, maybe it's for the time period. But also I felt like a lot of the tension for me came from just being stressed that somebody's going to come into the room.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For sure,
Yeah.
dude.
more than what was going on in the plot.
Yeah.
So I kind of felt like, I don't know, it was interesting. Like I didn't want to know what was going on in the plot, but I wasn't like, I felt like the characters way more invested than I was.
That's a good point. Yeah, because there are a few things where I'm like, oh, this is like a normal thing in 2025, but in 1958 or 7, like, oh, that's pretty scandalous.
Yeah,
So,
and maybe just for me, like as my partner was like, "You're too honest," when I was like, "I don't want to snoop." I felt like I was like, "Okay, well, I need to snoop because that's what the game's about."
Yeah.
But I didn't feel like I was like being super rewarded for it.
Yeah.
I guess as far as like following this mystery. So yeah, that's kind of where it landed for me. But I wonder if I'd feel differently if I had explored a little bit more and gotten a different result
Sure.
of my investigation.
Yeah. I went full blown Snoop.
Well,
Full
Yeah.
blown.
yeah, I
So-
also went full blown Snoop, and I gave it a 2.
Oh.
I don't know. There wasn't really special to me at all, and I feel like there were things that happened that I felt were there to throw me off the trail, but there was no backing of why that happened. So it felt like it was just thrown in there to confuse me. But
Are you able to give like one little example? I'm a little bit lost.
I don't, just like a clue you picked up at the very end. It was on the ground by the ice machine.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
And
I think I know what you're talking
I
about.
was like, why is this here?
Hmm.
But other things like that, where it was just like, okay, I don't know. It just didn't really. Like you said, I didn't feel very rewarded by any of, I don't know.
The snooping.
There were no stakes.
Sure.
About halfway through the game, I realized that there's like, no, the stakes aren't very high. That's
Huh.
how I felt.
Yeah, that's fair.
Sure.
But we'll talk about it.
I think there's one character that would disagree.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true. But I don't know. I wasn't super into the whole plot as it unraveled. I was just like, oh, okay.
I'm
Oh.
so curious too, like, because Shawn, okay, so in this game, you pretty early on, you have a chance to select an acolyte,
Uh-huh.
which is basically like your confidant and someone else that works at the hotel that you will be sharing information with and like
They'll be
maybe
helping you
getting-
solve problems
yeah,
and stuff. Yeah.
And Shawn, you and I both chose Beth, the front desk receptionist, as
Yeah.
our acolyte, and Emma, you chose Andrew, who was
I did.
the odd job guy. What was he?
He was like the
He's like the phone guy, I think. He kind of
don't-
helps in the front too.
I can't, not the concierge, but I don't know, maybe not the bellboy either. I don't know. He was not the receptionist, but he worked down in like the lobby.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm just really curious. I don't know why they call it an acolyte. It's kind of funny, but I'm really curious to hear what the differences are next week as far as how those interactions go and what kind of emphasis is placed on different things.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I gave the plot a 2, but I think maybe I just wasn't into this game.
No, I think that's fair.
Yeah.
So, moving on to characters. What did we give the characters? There aren't very many.
It's funny because there's quite a few more that are like talked about, but you never see them. Like they didn't get
Yeah.
animated and put into the game.
Yeah.
I'm here shaking my head back and forth.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
Well, I did give the characters a 3.
mhm.
I thought that I did enjoy the unraveling of a character as I snooped and kind of learning like, oh, okay, this is why they're here and this is like what they're doing and what they're like, but just what I was gleaming from the things in their room.
Yeah.
And also the kind of like gossip you hear of the other workers
Yeah.
and stuff like
Mhm.
that. I did appreciate that. So I gave them a 3.
I'd probably be around the same point. I think a 3 is a good rating. Yeah, I really enjoyed the characters, and I mean, at least from my experience, Beth was like really kind of like spunky and kind of like, I don't know, she's like a spitfire. So I appreciated that, and just yeah, some of the character interactions that you get within the hotel of like, oh, the tea's being spilt, and then some of the stuff that you're gleaming in this hidden mystery. Very cool.
So I think it's a 3 for me as well. Maybe a little bit higher. I don't know. I did enjoy like you guys were saying, kind of learning about the characters through the snooping that you were doing. And really kind of the picture in my head of who they are kind of evolved. So at first I'm thinking really surface level. And then as I play through the game more and I'm uncovering more things and I'm thinking about relationships between these characters that don't have any screen time, I'm kind of like building a better picture of them. And also I thought the different, like the gossip in the hotel and the drama that was going on there was really interesting.
Mm-hmm.
There were characters that like you don't like, and there were characters that, I don't know, you hear about and you don't care about, but there's also some characters that you like. And I made some decisions that make me feel bad, regarding those characters.
Oh, no.
So we'll talk about that next week. But, I think I just really liked the setting of like being in the Clarington hotel and having kind of that work goss, but nothing was too deep. So yeah, maybe just a 4. Actually, I'll bump it to a 4.
Yeah, I think the characters were definitely my favorite part of this game.
Yeah.
I'll just say that.
Yeah, I don't think anything really got too deep. A lot of it was pretty surface level-ish stuff, but there was definitely some deep documents and some other things that were discussed that you kind of figure out along the way. So yeah.
And then the last part of story and narrative, we're going to talk about world building. This one's a little tough because I don't know.
Yeah, this one's hard because the whole story takes place within a hotel. So, I mean, within the world of the hotel, I think it does get described a little bit about what's going on and some of the activities and things that are happening. Like they just had the Valentine's Day ball. They were
But
talking.
what happened at the ball?
It got crazy.
Yeah,
They
all
made
got
such
crunk.
a big deal of this ball and like feeling bad for what happened at the ball, and then you never really hear about it.
I
That pissed me off.
Yeah, I didn't
was
even
like,
go
what?
into the ball space. Like I just saw the remnants of said ball.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it was a really short game, so I don't know how much they need to go into everything, but
Yeah, that's
there
true.
were some things here and there that may or may not have popped into being relevant in your playthrough. Like you hear a little bit about the previous owner of the hotel, different things that are happening in the community, as far as like a mental hospital that they want to build nearby.
Oh, true. Yeah.
You kind of hear different characters' opinions and different stances on that. So I mean, I don't know. It wasn't a ton, but for such a short game, and they really didn't have. I think if they had expanded out the game, maybe made it a few hours longer for the story, they would have had more room. But I think it was okay. You kind of get the gist. The Valentine's ball is stressful for the employees. It was a big mess. You enter some rooms that have aftermath of that. So
I would agree with you though. Yeah, for the short amount of time, I think they built the world out enough where you got the gist of what it was. So
I don't think it's fair to give it any lower than a 3.
Sure,
But I just wasn't like super impressed with. I feel like we read so many documents. They could have fleshed out the world a little bit more.
Sure.
Sure.
I mean, it's Montreal.
So
Wikipedia it.
in the 50s. So
Oh, I can't in the 50s. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
The look you gave me was so
I'm
hateful.
method when I play this game.
I really play as the character.
I really did. I was trying really hard to just be like, if I were this character, what would I do?
Oh,
but I
yeah.
always do that when I play games like this. Yeah. So I give it a 3. What did you guys give it?
I'd give it
A 3.
yeah, I'd
3?
give it a 3.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A
That
3, but
seems
with more
fair.
forgiving words.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For
I
sure,
don't
yeah.
know. I feel like this is my Firewatch.
I feel like you're raging silently and it's like increasing. Your
I
fire
can't
is stoking.
talk about it because I can't talk about any of the details, but I will say I feel like this game was my Firewatch.
Oh boy.
Oh no.
Yeah.
That's rough.
Maybe not as bad as Firewatch was for you, Rylan. Oh, and Shawn, were you? I don't remember how you're
Yeah,
feeling.
it's okay.
Yeah. Okay. Well, we'll talk about it more later.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Wow.
Let's move into presentation. We'll start with graphics. Where are you guys setting the graphics? 1 to 5.
I thought the graphics were pretty good. The game's a few years old, but it still looked great to me. Yeah, I would give it a 3.5. I mean, 4 maybe. I wish there was a little bit more detail with inside of it, but outside of that, I think it was pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think a 4 for me. It was nice looking. I like the aesthetic of the game quite a bit.
Yeah.
The characters that they animated, I actually liked the way that they looked. What I didn't like is the way their lips moved.
Yeah, that really frustrated me.
Yeah, I felt like if they had nailed the lip motion while talking better, it would have made that stronger. But if you just look at their eyes while they're talking, it's a lot better.
Yeah, yeah, for sure.
But,
well, and did you guys have it in French or English?
I had it in English.
I had it in English.
Oh, I had it in French.
Oh.
I read subtitles the entire time.
Oh.
Why did you select that?
That's how it was when I was playing it. I didn't change it.
Oh, I don't even remember having the option. Maybe I did.
Oh.
I remember seeing letters in French, but I don't remember. They all spoke in English.
Wait, the letters that were written down?
Yeah, some
in
of the
French?
letters that were written down, I thought were in French.
It was just cursive.
Oh, well, maybe. I've been up since, wee hours, so sorry.
No, I mean, maybe. I don't know.
Maybe, yeah, I'd have to double check. I just thought that some of them were. But I definitely hit the toggle so I could actually read some of the stuff. Some of the cursive was like way too much for me. But
Totally.
Yeah, I usually am pretty good at reading cursive, but there were some that I was like, what the hell? Does this say?
Which I actually liked. This is kind of an aside. I guess it's on the graphical side of the discussion, but I actually liked the variety in like the text. It wasn't just like you could hit, for me it was spacebar to like get the plain text version on your screen, but you could also, there's typewriter type, there's handwritten stuff and multiple different handwritings. There's little doodles on the page. So
that's true.
I thought it was a nice amount of variety there, which I appreciated.
Made it feel realistic.
Yeah.
Like more like sometimes there's like little doodles and things, like someone was just, on a call or waiting for something, and feel real.
Did you feel like the lips were synced up better with the French?
No, and so that's why I was wondering if you guys also had it in French, because I thought, maybe it was synced up for the English, but it sounds like it wasn't synced up for anything.
No.
At some point I like hyper focused on it a little bit, and I was like really paying attention. I think they were moving the mouths appropriately, just like maybe didn't open the mouth enough, or like it was a little bit not quite enough, but I think they were like opening and closing at the right times,
Yeah.
It didn't ruin it at all.
It wasn't a
for me,
big
no.
deal.
It was just, we're being nitpicky.
No, just otherwise I really liked the way they animated the people. So I think I don't know if they weren't confident because they left a bunch of characters that were kind of in the game, but they weren't animated. Like I feel like you could have seen Eugene, you could have seen Wendy or Linda.
Yeah.
All characters that are mentioned quite a bit.
Yeah, and you catch them in like pictures and things, but not animated all the way out. So
yeah. Well, I'll give it a 4. I was stuck between a 3 and a 4, but I think after discussing it, I'm comfortable with a 4. Yeah.
Sounds good.
Yeah. What was you? What was you at?
What was you at? I'd say a 4 is probably good for me too.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, let's move on to sound design and music before we move into gameplay. I'm going to be honest. I can't really remember any music.
There was some, if you turn the radios on, you could hear some music.
But there was no like background music.
No, there wasn't any background music that played that I remember. There was, scratch that. There was one, but it was at the climax of the story.
Sure.
But outside of that, there wasn't anything unless you turn the TV on or the radio on, then something would play typically. But
I guess during cutscenes, maybe was there the like,
yeah, but like nothing crazy. It was more sound effects for me.
Yeah, I didn't really even think about the music until the very end of the game. Like when the credits were rolling, I think there might have been a very soft tune. Then I was like, oh, was there music in this game?
Yeah.
There was a lot of like noises when you're like picking things out of the trash can or picking up a cup or something like that. There'd be a little noise that went with it, but I think it kind of added to the tension just for it to be so silent all the time.
Yeah.
I don't know. I was scared I was going to get walked in on the whole time I was playing.
Well, I think that's why they do it. It's that tension builder. So it's like just quiet.
Yeah. I did like the voice acting in this game though.
They did do really good. Yeah. The voice acting was pretty well done. So
I think it was good. It was in French for me. So,
so
it sounded good.
It was beautiful.
Yeah. But yeah, I'll give sound design and music a 3. It wasn't.
Yeah.
I don't know. Again, I like a footstep, and I don't remember being very impressed by the footsteps. So
Yeah, I turned on one of the first the first room that I got into. I turned on the radio, so I just heard that for a few minutes. It was like an old timey '50s song,
yeah,
very Frank Sinatra vibes, and that was it.
yeah.
So I
Yeah.
didn't turn it on since. But
I did accidentally turn the TV on in one of the rooms, and I was like, shit.
yeah,
Yeah.
it off.
I don't want to make any noise
No.
in those rooms.
yeah, for sure.
Oh. And then if I did go into a room where the radio or the TV was already on, I was like, off.
Mhm.
And turn them all off. Yeah. But all right, we're gonna move into gameplay, which is the last section before we talk about the value. We'll start with content variety. I gave content variety a 2.
Talk about it.
Yeah,
Well, I don't know. I felt like I was just doing a lot of reading.
Yep.
I was just
Yeah.
walking into rooms. I was reading. The cleaning this was really kind of moving into the mechanics section, but the mechanics of the cleaning were like not that special to me. It didn't add that much of like, it didn't add variety for me. It was just kind of, as Rylan would say, fluff.
yeah.
That's how I felt. So I gave it a 2.
Okay.
Disagree with me if you want.
That's fair. I don't know if it's a disagreement, but maybe a counterpoint. I do appreciate that the cleaning, like the cleaning activities, I guess you could say, were not like full blown mini games, because that would have just been like kind of extra.
Yeah.
Well, and that probably would have extended the game. I mean, hours.
Yeah, get the high score on making the bed.
Yeah, for sure, dude.
But I think there is a reason that, well, kind of, I don't know if it's a good reason, but I think there's a reason that those little activities existed.
Yeah.
Because you can get different endings depending on how good of a maid you are.
Yeah.
Or, you know, but I guess I just appreciate how relatively quick those were. They were kind of pointless, but it was kind of like, okay, this is me doing my maid thing. There were some other, I guess, mystery solving. You know, you use a screwdriver at one point. At the end, you do some electrical work. I don't know if that's a spoiler, but
That's fine.
Yeah, I think the way you phrased it is good.
sure. And I guess I appreciate them trying to get some variety in the puzzle solving into this game that's so short. But I do agree that a lot of it is just you reading and making inferences about what's going on. It almost made those puzzle solving elements that were different feel almost out of place.
I don't even know that it was puzzle solving most of the time. I feel like most of the time it was just critical thinking.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
there was maybe like 1 or 2 things that was like, oh, okay, I actually have to like solve a puzzle. But even the act of solving that puzzle again was just like, I don't know.
Did you play Figment?
In Figment 2?
Hello, Dango.
Hello, Tango.
But for Figment, I wasn't going into it expecting it to be like this mystery puzzle solving
That's very
game.
fair,
yeah.
Like my headspace was like, this is going to be like a mystery, and I'm gonna have to, you know, like really be really careful that no one sees me snooping, and be really careful that no one notices that I've gone through their things.
Yeah.
I have to make sure that I collect all the specific evidence I need to like solve this one puzzle. But the very few aspects of puzzle solving there were so rudimentary and easy to me. I just wasn't very impressed. I think that's
Sure.
why I was frustrated.
Yeah. No, I think that's totally fair. Did you get the true ending?
No. I know what
neither.
the true ending is.
Yeah.
And that's, I went back to try and get
Sure.
the true ending, but we'll talk about it next week. I think that there was something like early on in the game that I needed to not do in order for the true ending to happen.
Oh, interesting. I'm curious to hear about that.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, it's interesting with things like this because I think if they make it too challenging, you might get through the game and feel like you were along for the ride more than doing stuff, which maybe you feel like anyways because it was easy. Or I don't know if easy is the right word. It was just, yeah. I don't know. What are we talking about? Content variety?
Content variety.
Yeah. I don't know. I think I'm thinking like a game like this, I want it to feel like Myst, where nothing is handed to me.
Sure.
Like I want to
Oh,
actually
sure.
feel rewarded when I figure something
Yeah.
out.
It did feel like they wanted to take your hand and kind of guide you through to
Yeah.
make sure you got, you know, the story or whatever, you know, kind of story you ended up with.
Yeah.
They didn't really leave you to like struggle. out there.
Yeah.
Yeah, not too much. And especially with like the whatever that button is where she would talk and give you hints and stuff. Like you could kind of just hint your way through the entire game if you really wanted to. For content variety though, I mean, through the entire game there's choices to be made at every step that could change your story. So I mean, there is content variety in that I mean, depending on the actions that you take, your story is different than my story, and I mean, your story is different than my story maybe. So yeah, I mean, there is that, but I would say 3 too. I don't think a whole lot outside of that. I mean, you do get to tell your own story, but that story is also very, you could say, linear and very guided in its path.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, I think it's like a road that goes to one town, but there's multiple lanes in the road.
yeah,
kind of thing.
for
Yeah,
sure.
yeah.
For sure.
But it's all the same scenery no matter which road you take.
Yeah.
Sure. Yeah.
Yep.
And that's my other issue, the content variety being like, well, there's like 10 trillion endings. I'm like, yeah, but I have to play the game again to get those endings, and it's essentially the same.
Yeah.
There's like one spot that you can save at like a certain point and be able to manipulate a bunch of different endings.
Yeah, I think it's like, regardless of your choices, the main story isn't changing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I don't know. Maybe this is better to continue this discussion for next week when we can talk about things more. I will give content of variety a 3. I
Yeah.
thought it was okay
Yeah.
for a short game.
Sure.
Yeah.
And we'll move into mechanics, and then we'll do value, and
Yeah.
then yeah, because there's so much that we want to talk about that we can't during
Yeah.
this episode. So tune in next week. We have a lot to say. But mechanics, I didn't have an issue with the mechanics for the most part, but I did find myself having to switch from controller to keyboard and mouse for certain things. So I would say controller wise, I would give it a 3. But mouse and keyboard, maybe it's higher. I don't know. You guys will have to chime in for that.
I would say I would also give it a 3 or 4. Like it was okay, but there was definitely some times where I would try to I would be standing in front of a drawer and I would try to open the drawer and it wouldn't open until I moved out of the way, and then it was like until it finally opened up like an old drawer would.
Yeah.
And so there was that, which was pretty minor inconvenience, honestly, but it was kind of annoying because you open a lot of drawers, surprisingly. So
Yeah, you do.
yeah. So yeah, the cleaning aspect, I would agree. I felt like it was just kind of there because you had to clean some stuff, but it wasn't like super important to the story, or the mechanics weren't super complex. But yeah, I think okay, 3.
Yeah, I got the job done.
Yeah.
I did appreciate you being able to go into like your menu and go look at all the documents again
I really
without
appreciate
having to
that,
go back
yeah.
to them. Yeah, so they did some nice things like that, and like I think it was Q was the button you pressed for the hint.
Yeah.
And I think they really kept it not especially frustrating, I think.
Yeah.
In those aspects.
Definitely
Yeah.
a lot more streamlined and a lot just kind of like hit button, you see your stuff.
Yep.
Easy.
They kept it simple
Yeah.
with all the UI and everything as well. So
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah. 3, 4, something.
Yeah.
All right, well, we'll close out with value before giving our final rating. Just as a reminder, when it's not on sale, this game is $24.99. Is it worth $24.99?
Nah.
Nope.
No, it's not.
I don't think so. We got it on sale for 15, right? 14?
shoot.
17 maybe?
I
I
owe
don't
you
know.
money.
15, 17.
Yeah, something like that. And that seemed to be a good price. Like if it was around the $15 or $10 range would be even better, honestly. Emma's shaking her head
No, sorry,
vigorously.
you said 10. You said 10, so it's fine. No, I think 15. I might pay 15 for it, but I didn't like the game very much, so I probably
Sure.
just wouldn't pay for it at all.
Yeah, that's
Which is
okay.
why I'm not going to pay you back, Rylan. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
Yeah, I think 25 feels steep for me. I did mostly play it with my partner watching, which for this sort of
maybe
game
that's
always elevates the experience. So you could almost split the cost in half per person.
Yeah,
Ooh,
that's true.
consider that.
Ooh.
But still, I feel like 25. I don't know. I've had better experiences for $25 for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, some of the games that we've played have been $25 and we've rated them much higher.
Sure,
So,
yeah.
I think for a 4, 5 hour, 6 hour game, with, I don't know, not a whole lot of, I mean, there was stuff, but I think it would just be better price point if it was a little bit lower.
Yeah. I think $15 to $17 would have been a much fairer price for someone who enjoyed a game like this, which I usually do. I don't know what it was about this game. I was really excited to play it, and I just got let down a little bit, but that's okay.
Yeah, that's okay.
That's all right. So let's just go into our final ratings.
Yeah.
Who wants to start?
3.5. No, I'm just kidding. I'd give it, I don't know. I wouldn't say it was like the best game I've ever played my entire life, but it was fun and I had fun with it. Even with the short amount of gameplay. So I'd probably say, I don't know, I'll go 3.3.
Okay.
It was fun, but I wouldn't say it was my favorite game, and it was pretty short. So
I think I might be a 3.5 on this one, actually.
Oh.
It's kind of what I'm feeling. This isn't really my style of game, but I did appreciate certain aspects. I had fun with my partner arguing about things in it. And yeah, but that being said, it wasn't like amazing. I'm not like shouting from the rooftops that people should check this game out. But if you're into this sort of game, I think, it's a short one. Catch it on a sale. Check it out. I think there's stuff to do. It's fun enough.
For sure.
Yeah. I gave this a 2.9. Just
Is that your
barely
lowest?
into the twos. No.
What's your lowest?
2.5.
Okay.
Reigns.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
And then 2.7 is shoot, what was that?
Self-Loss?
Game? Yeah, self-loss.
Oh.
Yeah.
So
So this is down there with those guys.
Yeah.
unfortunately, I didn't want to put it like down there with them, but it's in the twos.
That's fair.
Just barely. But I think that definitely this just didn't resonate with me. I think that it doesn't mean it's a bad game. It just wasn't my favorite.
Sure.
So
Okay, really quick, without getting the spoilers, some of the themes in this game, as far as like where the story goes, was that something that you guys were interested in as a theme or no?
I called it really early. I think if the theme you're talking about is what I'm thinking.
I don't know, just general. Maybe this doesn't make any sense.
No.
Are you
Nobody's
just
gonna
talking about
understand.
like the main story, like what you're figuring out along the way?
Yeah. Were you guys interested in that?
A little bit, yeah. I mean, that's kind of what drives this whole thing, essentially. So you kind of have to be somewhat invested in it. But it got more interesting the more you uncovered, I would say. So, but
I don't think so.
But
I don't think so.
I think if you caught an episode of Jerry Springer, you'd probably get the gist of what was going on here. So,
I felt like I knew what was going to happen like super early, and uncovering these mysteries wasn't anything new. I was like, yeah, that's kind of what I thought was going on.
Sure.
So again, if it would have been a surprise, like, oh shit, then maybe I would have liked it. But I was just like, it was too predictable. Too predictable for me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I liked it. I liked where it was going, but it was too easy to figure out.
Sure.
So, yeah. All right. Well, let's close out on that note before Rylan loses all 6 of his fidgets.
Yeah.
Since we recovered all the fidgets from behind Emma's couch, I've now lost 2 of them since we've started.
Like
I'm on number 3.
Across the room, too.
1 at each of you, basically.
Yeah. All right, well, this concludes the rating episode for This Bed We Made. Please join us next week for the discussion episode as we dive into the details of this game and all its hidden gems. If you haven't played the game yet and it sounds like something you may be interested in, I hope you find time to play it before tuning in next week. Please go and give the podcast a follow, rate it, review it, however you want to show us love. You can email us with any comments, questions, or constructive criticism at letmebeyourgg@gmail.com. You can also send us game requests if there's something you'd like us to review. Just make sure you include game request in the subject line so it's easy for us to find. You can find us on most socials as Let Me Be Your GG. That's LetMeBeyourGG with no spaces. And we're on Instagram, YouTube, Twitch, and Twitter. And you can find us on TikTok as Let Me Be Your Game Guide. Our Patreon can be found at patreon.com/letmebeyourgg. Thank you so much for listening. We can't wait to see you next week. And thank you so much for letting me be your game guide. GG, y'all.
Bye.
Bye.
think it's all good.
Unprofessional.
Yeah.
Okay.
Amateur.